Welcome to Backroom Stories, our first installment in the Stories for Sleep series. We're going to be taking a look at the story today for Echoes in Empty Halls. Enjoy. The day is winding down, sunlight fading as I make my way across the office parking lot. Keys jingle in my hand, my footsteps echoing off the asphalt. It's been a long day, and I'm looking forward to getting home. The air is cool, but pleasant, typical for early evening this time of year. I pass by a few colleagues heading to their own cars, exchanging quick nods and tired smiles. Someone calls out cheerfully, "See you tomorrow," and I wave in response. As I near my car, I pat my pockets, double-checking that I have everything, wallet, keys, all present and accounted for. I nod to myself, satisfied that I won't have to make an annoying trip back to the office. Yet, as I continue walking, a strange feeling tugs at the back of my mind. There's something I'm forgetting, something important. But every time I try to focus on what it might be, the thought slips away like smoke through my fingers. I'm about halfway to my car when I remember I left my travel mug on my desk. Is that what's been nagging at me? Doesn't quite fit the feeling, but it's something tangible to latch onto. For a moment, I debate whether to go back for it. It's my favorite mug, but the thought of retracing my steps through the building is unappealing. After a brief internal struggle, I decide to leave it for tomorrow. It's not going anywhere after all. Resuming my walk, I mentally run through my evening plans. A quick shower, then dinner, maybe catch up on some reading I've been putting off. That's when it happens. My foot catches on something, a raised bit of pavement perhaps. I stumble, arms windmilling as I try to regain my balance. For a moment, I'm suspended between standing and falling. Then gravity takes hold. I brace myself for impact with the hard ground. But the impact never comes. Instead, there's a sensation of sliding, as if the world has turned to liquid beneath me. A moment of vertigo, of disconnection from reality, then, with a soft thud, I land on something that's definitely not asphalt. Pain radiates through my body from the fall, but it's duller than I'd expect from hitting pavement. Groaning, I open my eyes. Yellow, that's the first thing I register. A sea of yellow stretches out before me, broken only by the beige of what I slowly realize is carpeting beneath me. Confusion floods my mind as I push myself up to a sitting position, wincing at the soreness in my limbs. This isn't the parking lot. This isn't anywhere I recognize. Hello? Where am I? I'm in a room. No, not quite a room. A hallway. The walls are pale, almost sickly yellow, covered in wallpaper with a subtle, repeating pattern. The carpet under me is a worn beige, its pile crushed flat from years of use. Fluorescent lights hum softly overhead, casting a harsh, artificial glow. For a long moment, I simply sit there, trying to make sense of what I'm seeing. My mind struggles to reconcile the sudden shift from parking lot to whatever this is. Slowly, carefully, I get to my feet. My body aches from the fall, but nothing seems to be broken. I brush off my clothes, leaving faint smudges on the knees where they contacted the carpet. Hello? Is anyone there? My voice sounds oddly muffled in the hallway. No response comes. I look around, taking in more details of my surroundings. The hallway stretches out in both directions, seemingly endless. The wallpaper, upon closer inspection, has a faint floral pattern, something you might see in an outdated office building or budget hotel. It's peeling slightly in places, revealing glimpses of off-white drywall underneath. The fluorescent lights above are housed in dingy plastic fixtures, some flickering intermittently. Their buzz is constant, a low-level hum that I can feel in my teeth. The carpet beneath my feet is thin and worn, with subtle stains here and there that speak of years of use. I take a tentative step forward, my shoe sinking slightly into the carpet. The air is different here, stale, with a faint odor I can't quite place. It's not unpleasant exactly, but it's not fresh either. Like a room that's been closed up for too long. As I move down the hallway, I notice doors spaced at irregular intervals. They're all identical, plain, wood veneer affairs with tarnished brass handles. I try one. It's locked. The handle turns, but the door doesn't budge. Hello? Can anyone hear me? I continue on, my footsteps muffled by the carpet. The sameness of it all is disorienting. Every few yards, I pass what looks like the same potted plant, a sad-looking ficus with drooping leaves. Are they real? I touch one. The leaf feels plasticky, artificial. The hallway takes a sharp turn and I follow it. More of the same. Yellow walls, beige carpet, flickering lights. But wait, what's that? Up ahead I see something different. A water cooler, the kind you'd find in any office break room. It stands there in the middle of the path, incongruous in the endless hallway. I approach it, drawn by its familiarity in this strange place. The plastic jug is full, bubbles rising slowly through the water. Next to it is a stack of paper cups, slightly askew. I pick up a cup, turning it over in my hands. It's flimsy, the kind that collapses if you grip it too tightly. I am thirsty, now that I think about it. For a moment, I consider getting a drink. But something holds me back. Is it safe? Where is this water coming from? After a moment's doubt, I set the cup back down, my throat still dry. The hallway stretches out before me, identical in both directions. Which way should I go? What am I looking for? The questions swirl in my mind as I stand there, the hum of the fluorescent lights a constant backdrop to my thoughts. I continue down the hallway, leaving the water cooler behind. My footsteps fall softly on the beige carpet, barely audible over the low hum of the fluorescent lights. The yellow walls stretch on, their faint floral pattern repeating endlessly. I pass more doors, each one identical to the last. I try the handle of one, then another. Both are locked, the brass knobs turning but the doors refusing to budge. I knock on the third door I encounter. The sound is oddly muffled in the still air. No response comes. At an intersection, I pause, looking left and right. Both directions appear the same. Yellow walls, beige carpet, unevenly spaced doors. I choose left, running my hand along the wall as I walk. The wallpaper feels slightly textured under my fingers. I come across another potted plant, a ficus with perfectly arranged leaves. I touch one, confirming its artificial nature. The fluorescent light directly above me flickers, drawing my attention. I stop, watching it for a moment. The flickering creates a strobe-like effect, making the hallway seem to stretch and contract. This can't be real. Where am I? My watch catches my eye. I check the time, then check it again a few minutes later. The soft ticking reaches my ears, but something feels off. I can't shake the strange sensation that while seconds pass, minutes and hours have not moved an inch. I continue walking, resisting the urge to look at my watch again, an uneasy feeling settling in my stomach. I reach another intersection. This time, I turn right. As I round the corner, I spot a water cooler in the distance, identical to the one I left behind. Did I somehow circle back? I approach it, examining it closely. The water level in the jug is the same. The stack of cups sits at the same angle. I pick up a cup, crumpling it in my hand before letting it fall to the floor. It lands noisily on the carpet. I move on, leaving the cup as the only sign of my passing. The hallway continues, yellow walls, beige carpet, locked doors, artificial plants. The sameness is absolute, unbroken. I walk on, my pace steady. The hum of the lights continues, a constant backdrop to my journey through this strange, repetitive space. Ahead, the hallway stretches on, identical to everything I've seen so far. The monotony of my surroundings begins to wear on me, a subtle unease creeping into my thoughts. I've been walking for a while, yet everything looks the same. I pause at another intersection, leaning against the wall to catch my breath. The wallpaper feels slightly damp under my palm, and I quickly pull my hand away. Looking closer, I notice a faint discoloration on the wall, a vaguely person-shaped outline, as if someone had stood there for a very long time, their silhouette slowly imprinted on the surface. I avert my gaze, gulping and quickly moving on. As I turn the corner, something catches my eye, a piece of paper lying on the floor. My heart races with excitement, the first unique object I've encountered in a while. I approach cautiously, half expecting it to disappear like a mirage. But it remains solid and real as I bend to pick it up. It's a crumpled memo, the kind you might find discarded in any office. The paper feels old and brittle in my hands. Smoothing it out, I strain to read the faded text. Reminder: all employees must check out with security before leaving the premises. Failure to comply may result in intelligible consequences. The bottom of the memo is torn off, leaving the message incomplete. I turn the paper over, hoping for more information, but the back is blank. Employees? Security? What kind of place is this? Questions flood my mind. I pocket the memo, suddenly aware of how alone I am in this vast, empty space. The hum of the fluorescent lights seems to grow louder, more insistent. Or is it just my imagination? I shake my head, trying to clear my thoughts, and continue walking. As I move forward, I notice something different about the carpet. There are marks in the pile, not footprints exactly, but long, straight lines, as if something heavy had been dragged along the floor. The lines stretch ahead of me, disappearing around a corner. Curiosity overrides my caution, and I follow the marks. They end abruptly in another hallway, identical to all the others except for one crucial difference. At the end of this corridor, barely visible in the distance, is an open door. My pace quickens involuntarily, drawn by the promise of something new, something different in this realm of endless repetition. As I get closer, I can see that the door leads to a stairwell. I pause at the threshold, peeking past it. It's dimly lit, concrete steps leading both up and down into shadowy depths. The air from the stairwell feels cooler, carrying a faint, musty scent. For a long moment, I stand there, caught between the familiar monotony of the hallway and the unknown possibilities of the stairs. The fluorescent lights buzz behind me, while ahead, the stairwell offers only silence and shadow. Taking a deep breath, I step forward, leaving the yellow hallway and its buzzing lights behind. The doors swing shut behind me with a soft click, plunging me into the dimness of the stairwell. As my eyes adjust, I consider my options, up or down. Standing in the dimly lit landing, my mind broods with indecision. My thoughts circle back to the parking lot where this strange journey began. I remember stumbling, falling, and then sliding. That sensation of dropping suggests I might have descended to get here. If that's the case, shouldn't I go up to find my way back? But how long have I been walking? Could I have climbed without realizing it? Those endless yellow hallways all looked the same. For all I know, they could have been sloping upward the whole time. The uncertainty gnaws at me. Up could lead back to familiar territory, or perhaps to a roof and a clear view of my surroundings. But down feels like it holds more possibilities. Even if I'm not underground, lower floors often have lobbies or emergency exits. Which way should I go? After a few minutes, I make my decision. Down it is. I begin my descent, my footsteps echoing softly in the stairwell. The concrete steps are slightly worn in the center from years of use. My hand trails along the metal railing, cool and smooth under my palm. As I descend, the lighting remains constant, dim, but just enough to see by. I pass several doors, identical to the one I entered through, but I resist the urge to open them. Something tells me they'll just lead me to more yellow hallways. I continue downward, counting the flights in my head. 5, 10, 15. The monotony of the stairs is almost as oppressive as the hallways above. Just as I'm beginning to wonder if these stairs go on forever, I reach a landing that's different from the others. Instead of another flight of stairs leading down, there's a single door. It's made of metal, painted a dull gray, with no distinguishing features except for a simple handle. No signs, no markings to indicate what might lie beyond. I hesitate, my hand hovering over the handle. I take a deep breath, grasp it, and slowly push the door open. It swings inward with a creak, revealing another hallway eerily similar to the ones above. As I step into the hallway, my eyes are drawn to a familiar sight in the distance, a water cooler. My steps falter, a sense of uneasiness washing over me. I approach slowly, almost reluctantly, my gaze fixed on it. With each step, I search for any sign that this isn't the same place, anything to indicate I've made progress in this labyrinth. The plastic jug gurgles softly as I near, bubbles rising through the water. My heart races as I force myself to look down at the floor beneath the cooler. 2 crumpled plastic cups lie there. For a moment, I simply stare at the cups, my mind reeling. My fingers twitch, and I have to resist the urge to reach down and touch them to confirm their reality. The fluorescent lights hum overhead, the sound suddenly oppressive in the stillness of the hallway. I take a step back from the water cooler, then another, my eyes still fixed on those two innocuous paper cups. There's something deeply unsettling about their presence. 2 cups, not one, crumpled in exactly the same way, positioned just so. It feels deliberate, almost like a message. My stomach churns, a wave of nausea washing over me. Suddenly, the air feels too thick, the hallway too confining. I need to get away, now. Then, without conscious thought, I'm running. My feet pounding against the carpet as I sprint down the corridor, passing locked doors and artificial plants. The sameness of it all blurs as I run, desperate to find something, anything different. As I near the end of my sprint, gasping for breath, I notice a change ahead. The corridor in the distance seems different. The lights abruptly stop, leaving the far end shrouded in darkness. I slow to walk, my chest heaving. The hum of the remaining lights seems louder here, more insistent. Or maybe it's just the blood pounding in my ears. I glance behind me, half expecting to see something in pursuit, but there's nothing there. Just the empty hallway stretching back into flickering shadows. Turning forward again, I peer into the gloom ahead. The darkness looms before me. I can't shake the feeling that something might be waiting there, hidden just beyond the reach of the failing lights. An imperceptible wall of shadow that seems to swallow the flickering light. My instincts scream at me to avoid it, to stay in the relative safety of the illuminated corridor. I hesitate, my gaze darting between the inky blackness of the familiar, if unsettling, yellow hallway behind me. Luckily, I notice something to my left. Another corridor branching off, its fluorescent light still buzzing with artificial life. Relief washes over me, and I quickly turn towards this new path, eager to escape the oppressive darkness and the hallways I left behind. As I move down this new corridor, my breathing steadies, and the adrenaline from my earlier sprint begins to subside. The familiar yellow walls and beige carpet ground me, even if the sameness remains unsettling. I focus on regaining my composure, pushing away the lingering unease. This hallway, while similar to the others, has its own quirks. The fluorescent lights here are more temperamental, with several fixtures flickering erratically or completely dark. Shadows play across the walls, creating an ever-shifting landscape of light and dark. I pass another potted plant, its plastic leaves gleaming under the harsh light. For a moment, I consider touching it, as if to reassure myself of its artificial nature, but something holds me back. Instead, I continue forward, my eyes scanning the endless repetition of doors and walls for any sign of change or escape. As I move deeper into this section, the corridor unexpectedly widens into a larger space, not quite a room, but more of an oversized hallway junction. What catches my eye isn't the size, but the bizarre arrangement of furniture scattered throughout. An enormous armchair, easily twice the size of any I've seen before, sits awkwardly in one corner. On the other side, 2 of them line up awkwardly near the entrance of a corridor. Their solid brown fabric clashes violently with the sickly yellow walls. Bad taste or a complete lack of it? With one of the chairs standing obtrusively in the way, interior design logic seems to have been gleefully abandoned. I weave around these oversized and misplaced objects, ducking my head to avoid an inexplicably placed coat rack. The erratic lighting casts long shadows across this peculiar room, adding to my disorientation. Moving on, I enter another corridor. This one is narrower, but not free from the strange furnishings. On one wall, a handrail runs along at an odd angle, starting at waist height and rising to well above my head before disappearing around a corner. It serves no apparent purpose, its presence more confusing than helpful. Further onwards, I come across another expanded area. Here, a filing cabinet leans against the door, empty drawers partially open. It's positioned directly in front of a door, making it impossible to open without moving the heavy metal obstruction. I move past the cabinet, finding myself in yet another unusually large space. This one features a cluster of mismatched chairs arranged in a tight circle, as if set up for a meeting that could never comfortably take place. The chairs vary wildly in size and style, from a tiny plastic stool to an oversized executive chair with worn faux leather upholstery. As I navigate through this strange obstacle course of misplaced furniture, each piece seems placed by someone with no concept of human scale or practical use. The space lacks logic, leaving me more disoriented with each step. I squint to make out details in the darker corners, unsure if I'm seeing more oddities or if my eyes are playing tricks on me. The inconsistent lighting only adds to the surreal atmosphere, turning familiar objects into looming shadows. As I venture further into this bizarre space, the architecture itself stops making sense. The ceiling suddenly soars upwards, easily reaching over 100 feet high. The abrupt change frightens me, making me feel small and exposed. I crane my neck, trying to make out where the walls meet the ceiling, but the upper reaches are lost in shadow. The fluorescent lights now cluttering the walls and buzzing their endless drone don't seem to illuminate beyond a certain point, leaving the top of this cavernous space in darkness. The yellow walls stretch upwards, their pattern repeating endlessly until it fades from view. It's as if I've stepped from a cramped office into some vast corporate cathedral. The sheer scale of it is overwhelming. I press closer to the familiar, human-sized furniture for comfort. I continue forward, my footsteps echoing in the vastness above. The beige carpet muffles the sound somewhat, but each step still seems to resonate longer than it should. The doors lining the walls now seem comically small in comparison to the height of the space, like dollhouse furniture in a giant's room. Ahead, the corridor narrows dramatically, culminating in what appears to be a hole in the wall, large enough for a person to crawl through. I approach it cautiously, my hand trailing along the wall for support. The wallpaper feels rougher here, its texture more pronounced under my fingertips. As I draw closer, the opening isn't what I expected. It's a perfect square, about 3 feet on each side, situated in the middle of the wall. The edges are smooth and precise, as if this odd feature had been designed into the building from the start. I step closer, examining the unusual aperture. The yellow wallpaper continues seamlessly into the opening, its pattern unbroken. It's as if someone simply forgot to fill this section of the wall, leaving a window into the space beyond. Peering through, I can see that the corridor continues normally on the other side. The square hole seems to be part of a short tunnel, perhaps 10 feet long, that passes through to the next section of hallway. The beige carpet extends through this passage, maintaining the unsettling consistency of this place. What is this? Some kind of maintenance access? I straighten up, considering the obstacle before me. It would be fairly easy to climb through, a bit of a squeeze, perhaps, but nothing too challenging. Yet the very oddness of it gives me pause. Why would anyone design a hallway like this? What purpose could this strange tunnel possibly serve? The fluorescent lights buzz overhead, their hum drilling into my teeth. I glance back the way I came, seeing only the endless yellow corridor stretching into the distance, then turn back to face this new puzzle. My hand hovers near the edge of the opening, not quite touching it. The smooth transition from wall to tunnel bothers me in its perfection. There's no sign of construction, no hint that this isn't exactly how it's meant to be. Taking a deep breath, I steel myself and begin to climb through. The carpet feels the same under my hands and knees as I crawl, the texture unchanged despite the odd angle. The space is tight, but not claustrophobic, and I make my way through without much difficulty. As I emerge on the other side, I stand up and dust myself off, taking in my new surroundings. At first glance, it seems to be the same endless yellow corridor, but as my eyes adjust, I notice subtle differences that set this section apart. The ceiling here undulates gently, rising and falling in soft waves. It's not dramatic enough to impede movement, but it's noticeable enough to create an unsettling effect. The fluorescent lights follow this pattern, their fixtures angled in odd intervals to match the ceiling's contours. I move forward cautiously, my gaze drawn upward by this strange architectural feature. The yellow wallpaper stretches and compresses slightly to accommodate the waves, creating a dizzying visual effect. It's as if the entire corridor is gently pulsating, an illusion created by the unusual design. As I continue down the hallway, I notice another oddity. The walls themselves aren't straight. They bow outward and inward at irregular intervals, creating pockets of space and narrow pinches in the corridor. It's subtle at first, but becomes more pronounced as I progress. In one section, the walls curve inward so much that I have to turn sideways to squeeze through. Just a few steps later, they bow out into a space wide enough to park a car. Constant changes in the width makes it difficult to maintain a steady pace or sense of direction. The doors lining the hallway have adapted to these curves. Some are standard and rectangular, while others are trapezoidal or even slightly curved themselves, fitting perfectly into the undulating walls. I try the handle of one oddly shaped door. Like all the others, it's locked tight. As I navigate this shifting space, the familiar hum of fluorescent lights continues, grating my nerves. Yet even this seems affected by the strange architecture, the sound wavering slightly as I pass through narrower sections of the corridor. As I navigate through this undulating corridor, the constant shifts in width and height keep me off balance. I pause for a moment, leaning against a section of the wall that curves outward, trying to catch my breath and steady myself. The yellow wallpaper feels slightly tacky under my palm, as if the humidity in this strange place is affecting it. A flicker of movement in my peripheral vision makes me whirl around, heart pounding. When I look back the way I came, I see only the empty hallway stretching into the distance, its waves and curves creating an unsettling view. The fluorescent lights buzz steadily, casting their harsh glow over the beige carpet and yellow walls. Nothing moves, nothing changes. Yet something was there, just out of sight. Is someone there? Shaking my head, I turn back to continue my journey. Corridor narrows again, forcing me to sidestep through a particularly tight section. As I emerge into a wider area, I notice something new about the floor. The beige carpet, which has been a constant throughout this strange place, begins to ripple in places. At first it's subtle, just a few small bumps and dips that I might not have noticed if I weren't already on edge. But as I move forward, the ripples become more pronounced. The carpet undulates beneath my feet, creating an uneven surface that makes each step a challenge. In some spots, it rises in small mounds, while in others, it dips into shallow depressions. The effect is disorienting, like walking on a soft, unstable surface. I carefully pick my way across this strange terrain, my eyes darting between the floor and the twisting walls. The combination of the rippling carpet and the undulating walls creates a nauseating effect, as if the entire corridor is slowly writhing around me. Suddenly, my foot sinks into a particularly deep dip in the carpet. I stumble, catching myself against the wall. As I regain my balance, I notice something odd about the spot where my foot sank. The carpet seems thinner there, almost transparent. Kneeling down, I run my hand over the area. The fibers feel different, softer, almost liquid in texture. A chill runs down my spine as I realize the carpet in this spot seems to be dissolving. The beige color fades into a sickly gray, and the edge of the affected areas are frayed and disintegrating. I quickly pull back my hand, wiping it on my pants, the carpet fibers leaving a sticky residue on my skin. What is happening to this place? Standing up, I take a careful step back from the dissolving spot. My eyes scan the floor ahead, noticing more areas where the carpet seems to be breaking down. They're scattered randomly, some barely noticeable, others as large as dinner plates. The hum of the fluorescent light seems to grow louder, more insistent, as if warning me of this new danger. I glance up at them, half expecting to see them melting like the carpet, but they remain unchanged, their harsh light revealing the decay spreading across the floor. I look back once more, hoping to see a clear path back the way I came. But the corridor behind me now seems different, the curves more pronounced, the ripples in the carpet more extreme. It's as if the very act of looking away has allowed the space to shift and change. Turning forward again, I steel myself for what lies ahead. The hallway stretches onward, its yellow walls still undulating, its floor now a treacherous landscape of stable patches and dissolving pitfalls. With no other choice, I begin to carefully pick my way forward, testing each step before committing my weight, always alert for signs of further decay. As I cautiously navigate the treacherous floor, I notice the corridor beginning to widen. The undulating walls gradually pull apart, revealing a vast open space ahead. The ceiling, too, seems to stretch upward, disappearing into shadows far above. The fluorescent lights struggle to illuminate this expanded area, creating pools of harsh brightness amidst growing darkness. The new space is an enormous office area, twisted by the same bizarre logic that governs the rest of this place. Cubicles stretch out before me, their partitions warped and melted like candle wax. Some tower imposingly high, while others have shrunk to the size of dollhouse furniture. The carpet here is patchwork of decay and stability. Islands of intact beige fibers are surrounded by seas of the gray, dissolving material I encountered earlier. I carefully make my way between these safe zones. The spongy texture beneath my feet never lets me forget what's underneath. As my eyes scan the warped office space, two things catch my attention. Ahead, the office seems to stretch on endlessly, filled with more twisted furniture and impossible geometry. It's disorienting, but it might lead somewhere new. To my right, however, something even stranger draws my gaze. Amidst the chaos of melted cubicles and disoriented desks, there's a window that looks normal, startlingly so. Through this pane, I can see what appears to be a regular office, untouched by the madness surrounding me. What should I do? This concludes part 1 of Echoes in the Hallways.